So I'd like to welcome Joe Beckham. He is a martial arts expert. He said he's not an expert, but we decided after 41 years of being involved, that makes him an expert. We're going to talk a little bit today about balance, how to fall more safely, how to be more prepared, how to be proactive. And I'm going to let the expert start talking. So Joe, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I look forward to this. The martial art that I practice is a Japanese martial art. It's known as Aikido. So when you finish the session today with me, don't tell everybody that you learn karate today. It's not karate, it's Aikido. That's a Japanese martial art strictly interested in teaching how to protect yourself if someone attacks you. It's got several other styles mixed in with it. One of the benefits that I have found, being a 67-year, 8-month-old person, is the awareness, alertness of my own body, my posture in particular. So I want to talk about that because posture to me is extremely important for good balance. There are basically 3 balance points that I'd like for you folks to start thinking about. Your head being directly centered over your shoulders and your shoulders being centered over your hips. We call that vertical alignment. Basically, your body sits straight, nice and straight over your hips. Keeping the head and shoulders aligned over the hips is key to balance. Now, for all of us in this session, about mid-30s, our inner ear began to deteriorate. It's a very, very slow process. And of course, when that inner ear starts to deteriorate, that's when we start to lose our balance. One thing that we can do to help with that balance is that awareness of posture, keeping your vertical alignment. Basically, an X, Y, Z thing. Think of, and I'm going to stand up here, so if my head goes out of sight, just bear with me. Think of, folks, just below your navel, shooting a line straight through your body. Then from the side, shooting a line through that. So you see, visualize that cross in the center of your body. It's an imaginary cross, of course, that intersection. And then think of a straight line, we'll call this Z, going straight down through your head, your neck, your torso, and intersecting with that cross, which is 2 inches below your navel. That is our physical center of gravity. If you think of that Z line, that vertical line, and keep that pretty much centered over the X and the Y intersection, you can have better balance from that, just that alone. I know as well as you do what gravity's effect are on the human body. It starts to pull our shoulders forward and other things, of course. So exercising is extremely important. I have some exercises that help keep the shoulders up and square, like physical therapy and other routines, exercise routines. Anything you do, I say, is beneficial. In martial arts, some of the routines we do are extremely beneficial for helping you with that awareness of your posture. So please, folks, start thinking about your posture, how you're sitting now, how you walk, how you stand. That awareness and alertness to your body is extremely important. When it comes to martial art and the self-defense aspect, how we carry ourselves is important. Slumped shoulders with the head drooped down, that's indication of a weakness. And if there's an attacker looking for a weak person to attack, then that will definitely be an indication that the person is weak. You know, attackers always pick the weak person. You never hear about 6'3", 280-pound football players being attacked, do you? Anybody? I haven't. Why? Because the attacker is going to pick a weaker person. Think of the attacker as being like a cheetah, looking for the weak or the lame. So if you would start thinking about your posture, shoulders nice and square, keep them up, don't let gravity pull them down, and keep that head up and don't droop it down. That'll help extremely well for your posture. Please try to think of that. And what I hope to do is show you some exercises that you can do at home to help with your balance. Balance is key to coordination and agility. In self-defense, I say that balance is the trunk of the tree to help with coordination, agility, power, and speed. I'm going to stand up again, so my head's going to go out of sight to show you a balance drill that is easy to do. And when you start this, people, please go slow. Think about what you're doing. Be committed to it. That's the important thing about whether it's martial arts or basket weaving or pottery or anything, any other thing that you do. If you're committed to it, then you'll improve. When it comes to martial arts training or a balance drill, if you're committed to it, it'll help you. I've seen it so many times that it helps not just children, but older adults too. And I have taught many older adults these drills. So I'm standing up, making sure that my weight is even on both legs and that my legs are directly under my hips. Call it a parallel right and left. What you do, and you can use your hand to hold one hand on a countertop, a piece of furniture, the wall, anything to start out. Be smart about it. Put a hand on something and just lift one leg straight up. Now I've got mine up even with my hip. You don't have to bring it up that high, but you need to pick it up off the floor, holding your balance on one leg. What I find important with this is that when you do it, hold on to something first, but eventually you want to get away from using your hand to hold something. Just hold it, just balancing on one leg. Hold it for 5 seconds, put it down, switch over to the other side. Once you feel comfortable with that, remove the hand, or perhaps instead of holding onto something, just take one finger and place it on the back of a chair or a wall and see if you can hold your balance while lifting one leg up and just putting one finger on the wall. When you feel comfortable with that, do it without holding on to anything. Some of the balance drills we have are a bit hard for me to show you because of my limited space here. I'm at my office at home, obviously. If I was in my school, I've got 1,800 square feet of matted floor. The facility is 3,000 square feet. And the floor is a soft floor. Why is it soft? Meaning it's a foam rubber floor. We're a throwing martial art also, people, meaning we do judo throws for self-defense also. So we have to have a soft floor to fall on. But that floor being soft is actually good because your foot tends to roll a little on the foam, if you can picture that. And that is actually good for your balance. Why? If you could hold your balance on a soft floor, do you think you would be able to hold it better on a hard floor with a shoe on? Just lifting a leg, holding it up, 5 seconds, each leg, do that 3 or 4 times every day. Increase it as you feel more confident with it. That's important. You've got to increase it. 5 seconds, 3 or 4 times a day. That's a good start. But the idea behind balance drills, as well as any martial art, is to internalize the moves. What that means is do it so much that your body starts to develop strength. It's obviously going to take some strength in your hip flexors and quads to lift a leg and hold your balance. And I understand it may be difficult for some of you. Again, start slow. I'm teaching you just like as if you are students of mine in my martial art. I do this very same thing with my students. Start slow. You've heard this cliche before, I'm sure. First you crawl, then you walk, then you run. As a beginner in my martial art, you're crawling, and you're going to crawl for a long time before you walk. There's very few students of mine that are at the running stage. It takes time. So please take your time when you're doing these balance drills. Keep in mind while you're doing it about your head staying over your shoulders over your hips. Key to balance. Please be committed. That is the most important thing. If you wanted to improve in this balance thing that we're talking about, you've got to do that. You've got to start being more aware of your posture. Everywhere you go, use every opportunity to think and consider your posture when you're shopping at Ingles or Food Line or wherever you go. Home Depot, Lowe's, the drugstore, Walmart, when you're out in public, think about your posture. Use it as a time to practice it, not just standing by your countertop, practicing the balance drills and you're thinking about your posture. Martial arts practice goes everywhere you go. That's one of the benefits, I think, of it. As well as the alertness factor. Keep yourselves alert as you're out and moving about in the public. She wanted me to explain to you some of the aspects of that I teach when it comes to falling. Being a throwing martial art, judo specifically, and having a soft floor is beneficial, yes. But if you fall wrong, even on a soft floor, you can be hurt. And the natural reaction for all of us as we start to fall is to put a hand out or an arm out to try to break our fall. And a lot of times, as I taught the seniors on pickleball, is all that force on the palm of the hand transferred to the wrist, and they've had some fractured wrists. So that's really not a good thing to do, is put a hand out. So how can I help you if you were going to take a fall? If you lose your balance and you start to fall. Well, what do you know about the neck? It's weak. The muscles are weak. The head is somewhat heavy. I'll tell you folks, my head is a little heavier than most because sometimes I think it's full of rocks instead of a brain. But that being said, as you fall, if you were to fall, let's say on an arm, this portion of your arm, your body stops, but your head continues to travel toward the floor. What that's going to do is injure your neck. It's a quite simple thing to do, is pull your arm, the side you're falling, into your body, lock your elbow in tight, bring the forearm up across, and turn your chin into that shoulder. What this does now is it helps the neck brace the head. So if I were to fall, my head would not continue to travel. It's braced. I'm pressing my chin as hard as I can against this shoulder. And that's helping the neck brace the head and keep it from continuing to travel toward the floor and at the sudden stop of the fall. I would much rather have that happen than reach out and fracture my wrist, or I've heard people land on their elbow. One lady landed on her elbow in pickleball and fractured it. The benefit you're going to get from this, I would hope, is that you avoid serious injury to your head or neck. Now, it's not going to feel that good landing here. I get that, folks, but let's consider something here. Would you rather have a fractured wrist or a strained neck or dislocated elbow or bruises? Because when you land here from a fall, you're going to get bruised. I understand that. And it's going to be a hard floor, not a foam floor like what I have. That's what you've got to weigh out here. I say always to my students too. Same thing. If you take a fall, would you rather come out with minimum injury, or are you going to need to go to the hospital? Well, I know your answer already to that. You don't have to tell me. You're hoping that it's a minimum injury. So I'm going to stand up. So my head's going to go out of sight again and show you as you start to fall what you should do. Pull your arm across your body and up and turn your chin into that shoulder. Tuck it in tight. This will protect your neck. It'll protect your wrist. If you put it out like this, you know what's going to happen to that wrist. If you reach out with your elbow and land on that point, it's going to fracture that bone. Tucking it in and landing on this part of your body is much, I would say, much safer than landing on the palms of your hands or your elbow. It's called the side fall because the side of the body is bone and muscle. The vital organs are in the front and around the back side. If you can turn your body, tuck your arm, tuck your chin into that shoulder as you fall and land on your side, you should be able to avoid serious injury. Now, what I can't help you prevent is if you're falling on something like a low table or some object that could do damage to your body by falling on it. There's nothing I can tell you that is going to help you with that. Most of our throws are done in a large area. I do teach confined space technique, but that takes more time than I have here to explain. The benefit I think that you would get from tucking this arm and turning your chin is a minimum amount of injury. Would you agree with that, people, or am I off base? I see, is it Stan Starnes? Is that you, Stan? Gave me a thumbs up. All right, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. That's Alfredo. I see some names here. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. We have other ways of falling. I'm limited in my space. One is if you fall backwards, what to do? Well, that's called a back fall. That's my nomenclature to teach what's called the back fall. Some of our techniques do throw you backwards. Understand that in a martial art, my particular martial art being a throwing art as well as a striking art, when you're partnered up with someone learning a self-defense move, half the time you're attacking, half the time you're defending. So it's a back and forth thing. Let's say, for instance, we're doing a front choke defense. That's where someone puts their hands around your neck and starts to choke you. You would attack your person, your partner, they'll do the defense. They'll attack you, you do the defense. So it's a back and forth thing. It's very reciprocal in that way. Some of the throws push you backwards. You lose your balance, you fall. So there's got to be a way to fall that way too, to protect yourself and not get hurt. Yes, my foam floor obviously cushions the fall, helps cushion the fall, but folks, you can fall on 2-inch thick foam floor and still be hurt if you land wrong. The back fall is slightly different from the side fall. Side fall being where you pull the arm and turn the chin toward your side of the direction you're falling, by the way. So if you're falling toward your right arm across and turn your chin into the right shoulder. And of course, if you're doing the other way, I see Alfredo's giving a practice. Thank you, Alfredo. Just pull the arm across and turn your chin into that shoulder. what's important here is that you push that chin as hard as you can into that shoulder. Now, you need to be able to pull that arm across your body. What that's going to do is pull the front of the shoulder here closer to your chin. Actually, it's going to pull it halfway toward it. And then there's the other half where you turn your head and point it down, tucking that chin as hard as you can tuck it into your shoulder. That'll hold the head, keep it from snapping around and injuring your neck. On the back fall, when you're falling backwards, if you don't tuck your chin down into your chest, what's going to happen on the sudden fall is the head's going to fall backwards. Now imagine falling backwards on a concrete floor or a hardwood floor or a tiled floor, any other floor other than the foam floor. You know what that's going to do. You're going to strike the back of your head. We're talking unconsciousness. And if it strikes it hard enough, you know the rest of that story, I'm sure. To help prevent striking the back of the head when you're falling backwards, tuck the chin down hard as you can. Press it against your chest. Cross your arms in tight, both arms across, and tuck it down. There is a way to break the fall, but it's difficult to show in this session. So I'm just going to have to tell you that the best thing to do is tuck the chin, cross your arms. Now, what that does also, and you can't tell very well now, is it kind of arches the back a little bit. Doesn't keep it straight. Because if you fall straight, it's going to be a sudden fall hard enough probably to allow the head to, even as hard as you tuck it, to fall backwards and strike the floor. But if you tuck your chin down and cross your arms, this arches the back, the upper portion of the back, taking some of the pressure off of the neck and helping you keep the chin tucked. Now, these things I've shown you, people, don't just wait for the fall to happen before you attempt it. Sometime today, tomorrow, next day, as often as you can, make a note. I've got notes galore. I use these things all the time to make myself notes. Obviously, my memory is not as good as it used to be. Anybody else got that problem? You know where we're going? Yes. And a lot of that, of course, I know it's aging, but also, you know, we have a lot to think about these days, don't we? So our minds are just bombarded by all that's going on in our culture, our society, our world. So we have a lot of thoughts going on about that, all of us. You've got to make yourself a note to pull that arm across, turn the chin, do the other side. What's important here is pulling that arm in on the side fall, pulling that arm in tight across your body, holding it in tight, and turning this chin in. On the back fall, crossing both arms across your chest, something like the old, is it the sarcophagus, holding the crook and the flail, I believe, the Egyptian sarcophagus. Think of that, and tucking that chin down. Now, if you'll do that, you'll practice it. What you'll begin to see is if you tuck it in tight and press it hard, your head doesn't move. And this will get you into the routine of pulling and turning. Look what I'm doing here. Just pulling one arm across and turning my chin into the right side. Then I drop that arm and pull the left arm across and turn the chin in, and then do it again, and then do it again. Folks, the benefit of martial art training when it comes to self-defense, again, is internalizing the move. Think of it like this. You're driving along in your car and the car in front of you suddenly slams on their brakes. What do? You slam on your brakes. Did you think about that, or did you just do it automatically? It was a reflex, wasn't it? That's martial arts. It has to be practiced so much And you know this, you've heard this before, repetition is the mother of skill. If you're doing this, and you're doing it correctly, and you do it several times, dozens of times really, every day, then just perhaps the day of your fall, if it happens to any of you, you'll react by pulling that arm across, turning that chin into the shoulder, and tucking it in tight. I know it's not an easy thing to do because reflexively you want to reach out with the hand and let the hand break the fall. But all that force is going here and on the wrist, being it's actually a very weak joint, it's going to fracture it. So what's important in martial arts, as well as any other sport, musical instrument, anything that you do that you're committed to help improve your life, you're just going to have to practice it as much as you can. Let me review with you the side fall. Pull the arm across the body. Keep the elbow tucked in tight. Don't let it rise up like this. Keep the elbow down. Look what I'm doing. I'm tucking it in tight to my body here. It's pulled almost across where the elbow is on the center line of my body. Turn the chin. Then do it on the other side. And just do it again. So actually not a bad exercise to pull it across and tighten it up. On the back fall, both arms across, tight fists, that helps tighten up the flexor muscles. Tight fists, and tuck your chin down into this V. You see the V that I'm making with my arms here. Tuck your chin down into that. Now, not on your arms. You don't have to do that. Would be wrong if you did. You just want them here and tuck that chin down as tight as you can. If you do that on a regular basis, then just perhaps that day of the fall, you'll react in this reflexive manner and avoid a serious injury.
Makes sense.
I hope that's helpful. On the balance drills, I've got so many, dozens of balance drills. Not all of them are you standing on one leg. Some are simple walking drills, not just like you and I walk in a normal fashion. It's more of a foundational or a base building for our stances. No, your legs are strong. Our legs are strong. If we keep our upper body centered over our hips, we'll be able to maintain our balance. Some of the stepping drills are beneficial in this way. Let's say that you're, and by the way, this happened to me recently. To me, I was making a sandwich. The refrigerator's behind me. I was going to put the sandwich meat and the mayonnaise back in the refrigerator. As I lifted them up and turned, I lost my balance. As I turned toward the refrigerator, I didn't trip over anything. I just started to lose my balance. But because my feet can move quickly, I was able to reposition and keep my feet, my legs underneath my torso, and I did not fall, didn't drop anything. So in the sense of balance, it's not just keeping head over shoulders, over hips, the vertical alignment that I spoke earlier about. It's important also to be able to move your feet fast enough and keep them underneath your torso. Do you understand that? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? So some of the drills I have, it's not just lifting one leg and holding it up for 5 or 10 seconds and holding your balance. Some of the stepping drills are ideal for helping you keep your balance, move your legs fast enough, give you some agility back. I mean, don't you want some agility back if you noticed you're losing it? Look, I don't have Parkinson's, but I'm going to be 68 my next birthday. Hey, these bodies wear out. And I'm noticing I don't have the strength in my joints that I used to have. I'm fortunate. I don't have anything terminal. I don't have Parkinson's. I had mother and grandmother that died from Alzheimer's, so I'm susceptible to that. But what I want is a good quality of life. Now, I've been fortunate to be active, to have remained active, found this martial art thing that I do, and I teach it, and it's been very beneficial in helping me keep several things. One, my balance. My inner ear is deteriorating, but you can counter that by some practice, balance practice drills. The footwork and foundation movements are excellent for helping strengthen your knees, your leg muscles, and help you with the awareness of the 3 points of 3 balance points that I mentioned: head, over shoulders, over hips. Now, not everyone is interested in training in a martial art twice a week on a regular basis. Here's what I offer to you. If you want more from what I've shown you and you want to see more of what I have to offer, every first and third Saturday of each month, I repeat, the first and the third Saturday morning, 8 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. I have an adult class. That's twice a month. You don't have to sign up as a regular student. You don't have to buy anything. You're not going to have to buy the uniform to train in. You come in your street clothes. I offer this to anyone and everyone. It's $20 per session. And what you can do is come in on these Saturday morning classes. And what we will do is we will take you in front of the mirror. We have a large mirror, and help you with these balance drills that I showed you, and add more to it. There's a lot more to it. Think of it like a dollar bill. What you have learned today is 1 penny of that dollar bill of my knowledge and skill when it comes to balance and falling. 1 penny is all you've learned today. You have 99 more to go. $20 per session, 8 o'clock until 9:30. Please note that's the first and third Saturday of each month. Now, this Saturday, which is September 4th, is the first Saturday of September. I'm going to tell you up front here now, this is Labor Day weekend. I'm going to be with my family this weekend, so we do not have class this Saturday, September 4th. The next Saturday that I have class that you could come to if you're interested is September 18th. It starts at 8 a.m. and goes until 9:30. You don't have to become a student. All we'll do is, if you're interested and want to learn more, is we will take you on the floor and we will start to show you our stepping drills, our balance drills, how to fall. It'll be much more involved than in this session if you're comfortable with coming to my school. So I think right now, Lauren, we're supposed to open it up for some questions. Is that correct?
It is, Joe. I want to, I think that, when you say you're not an expert, none of us have practiced falling. We've never really thought about those things before. And as much as they may seem at this point, that makes sense. I don't think it's things that a lot of us have thought about. So even just the penny that we got, I still think was very valuable. So again, we appreciate that. If you have a comment or a question, you are muted, so you can hold your space bar down or unmute yourself if you have a question for Joe. We'll just take a minute here. Beth, we have a question over there. Yes?
Yes, please. Where is your school, Joe?
Thank you. That's a good question. The address is number 6 Rutherford Road, Greenville. I am on the corner of Rutherford Road and Poinsett Highway.
I can share all of that. I'll put it in an email to everybody who participated, just so you have that information.
Yeah,
We
Thank
do
you.
have a question that came in the chat.
yeah, Alfredo has a question.
Well, there's someone who wrote in, are you able to demonstrate an agility skill that is basic that can be practiced at home?
I'll
An
do the best
agility-
I can. Yes. So I'm going to back off of the camera, so my head is going out of sight. Let's see what we can do here. Well, before I go to it, stances. Let's talk about our stances. How you stand, just how you stand. As I stand up and turn, you can see from the side that there's this alignment that I'm talking about. You don't see this. You see Joe Beckham like this, and something has happened to my brain, something serious. I've lost my focus and my mental faculties and not aware of this body anymore. So you're not going to see me slumping over like this as long as I have a clear mind. This stance, called a shizentai in Japanese, where the legs, feet, knees all line up with your body, is just how we stand typically. If you take one foot, turn it straight, and take the other foot and turn it 90 degrees to it, you form the letter L. In English, we call it the L stance. Knees bent, head up, shoulders up, square. This stance is called the Hamni. That means basic. Now, what you can do here, and I'll do the best I can with what camera I have, is step forward. You can't see it, but I'm moving my back foot across the floor, pointing it that foot straight and turning the back foot 90 degrees. So I go from an L this way to an L this way. That L stance is extremely basic to my martial art. And what it helps you with, folks, is the awareness of this, centered over or resting over the hips. And I didn't mention this earlier, but a very important part about good posture is keeping the knees slightly bent. Think of it like a bow, not the arrow part, just the bow. You hold it in one hand and you pull the string back. And what does that, when you pull the string back, what does that do? It creates tension in the string or energy to fire the arrow. The muscles of the leg are pretty much the same thing. Your knees slightly bent put some tension into the legs, or energy really is a better way to say it. I don't like to use the word tension, not like quite like the bowstring, but by keeping your knees bent, a better way to maybe think of it, folks, is it engages the muscles around the knee, and that gives you stability. Now, it's easy to stand and keep your knees bent, but can you walk and keep your knees bent? So think of this. Think of forming an L with your feet. Front foot always pointed straight in the way you're walking. Back foot 90 degrees to it. Knees bent, head up, back straight. As you step, you're bringing the back foot across the front of your body, pointing that back foot straight and turning the front foot perpendicular to that. Do you follow that? So you're going from, if your left foot is forward and your right foot is back and you look down, you see an L. When you step forward with that back foot, you're going to go from a proper L to another L, but facing the wrong way, not like the letter L. You keep that L stance every time you step. Now, as you step, an important aspect to this Hamni walk, we call it, is sliding the foot across the floor, not lifting it up and putting it down like you and I do when we walk. You slide the toes across the floor. Why is that important? Number one, sliding the foot gives you a reference point. Think of it similar to a blind person, how they get along with their cane. They're using the cane and sweeping the area in front of them, using it, Lauren, to feel if there's an object in front of them, it's like a step or something. So sliding the foot gives you a reference point, and by sliding the foot, people, it helps you maintain your stability as you're moving. It's a little bit difficult to demonstrate here, but let me tell you, if you come to my school, and by the way, if you're coming just to watch the class, there's no charge for that. Now, if you're going to get out on the floor, and continue to learn what I have to show you in these balance drills and agility drills, then you're going to be charged. But $20 is, I think, a very minimum fee to pay for learning how to protect yourself and gain some balance. I hope you agree with that. It's a good value.
How long is the class? Did you say?
Yes, ma'am. It's an hour and a half. The only thing you'll have to do, people, when you come, is take any jewelry off. You don't necessarily have to take the wedding rings off if you don't feel comfortable with that. Watches and jewelry, bracelets, and your shoes. You can keep your socks on or go barefooted, but shoes, I don't allow shoes on my foam floor. Next question.
Yeah, did someone else had a question? You said Alfredo had a question. Do you still have one?
No, I really didn't. I really wanted to know where the address was because I want to go to your place at least once. You're talking about the food, my problem with my balance is I cannot move my feet very easily. And if I am falling, I cannot move my feet very fast. So I need to learn to move my feet. My feet sometimes feel like they're stuck on the ground.
Yes, sir. I understand, Alfredo, what you're saying, and perhaps what I have in this Hominy walk that I did my best to demonstrate with what camera I have, the setup I have here. I wish it was a wider lens and could show more of the floor so that I could show you what I was trying to pass on to you. If you, that's what everyone, Alfredo, starts with in my school learning. That Hominy walk that I was demonstrating to you people is the base for the base. It is foundational all the way and very beneficial for helping you not just in your agility, Alfredo, people, but how about in just good control of your body and a more awareness of your mind into your body. You people come to me and I even adults, not just children, and I say, raise your right hand, and you know which hand goes up? Their left. Well, the beginning of coordination is knowing your right from your left without thinking about it. So some of our drills, most of our drills, help you build an awareness, an alertness to your own body. Like, for instance, the posture. Please be aware of your posture. That's so important. I cannot say it. I cannot stress it enough how important your awareness on your posture is. Extremely important. Yeah. Next question. Do we still have some time, Laura?
Just a few minutes too. And I know that particularly a lot of members have issues with the freezing that happens with Parkinson's. Sometimes, your mind's telling your feet to move and your feet aren't paying attention. And so I know some of these things may be challenging to some of our members just due to the symptoms that they have. But whatever we can do, you may never get to that run that Joe was talking about at the beginning, but even if you get better at the crawling or better at the walking level, that it's still going to be helpful. So I think sometimes too, recognizing that while you may have limitations because of the symptoms of the disease, anything you can do to improve your balance and that coordination is going to help you. So I just don't want anybody to feel frustrated because their bodies aren't doing what they want them to do. I'm pretty sure you already feel that every day anyway. Do we have another question before we end today? Well, one of the other things that Joe and I had talked about, if we have a lot of people that would like to participate, we talked about potentially doing a GAPS class, where you kind of would maybe feel more comfortable if everybody there was in the same boat as you as in terms of dealing with the PD. And maybe we could do it at a different time that's maybe not so early. So if you are interested, just send me an email. Robin and I can coordinate something and we'll figure out if that will work with Joe's schedule. But I will put the information for his website and his location in an email to everybody after. Well, if no one else has any other questions, Joe, I really want to thank you. I thought this was very helpful. I hope everybody learned a little bit of something today that's going to help you continue to maximize that quality of life. So thank you for your time, Joe.
Thank you.